This is Nauru. It's a tiny, isolated island nation in Oceania. In the 1970s, this 8.1 square mile island was the wealthiest country in the world per capita. Its citizens enjoyed a living standard that rivaled the United States and many European countries, with completely free healthcare, zero taxes, and government-funded luxury trips. And today, that wealth is completely gone. The island is near bankruptcy and its environment is almost entirely destroyed. So how did this nation go from absolute obscurity to world-shattering wealth and all the way back down to zero, all in a span of just 50 years? This is the rise and fall of Nauru explained. Before all of this, Nauru was just another ordinary island nation in the Pacific. However, it was located hundreds of kilometers away from other major settlements, entirely cutting it out from international trade or tourism. So why did that happen? The island of Nauru is on top of an underwater volcano, and when volcanic activity stopped, coral formations rose above the sea level. Due to erosion and other circumstances, this coral turned into jagged limestones surrounding the nation of Nauru. This made it physically impossible for ships to dock at the island. Although its geography wasn't ideal, the location became a major rest stop for thousands of generations of migrating birds. And over millennia, these birds left behind massive amounts of droppings. Thanks to Nauru's climate, the bird waste fossilized into marine phosphate rock. Phosphate is a crucial ingredient in creating modern agricultural fertilizers. Unbeknownst to the island, almost the entirety of the world's third smallest country was a gold mine worth billions of dollars. When Nauru gained independence in 1968, they took control of the mining operations, and the money started flowing in immediately. In the 1970s and 1980s, phosphate prices soared and Nauru began stripping its land at an unsustainable pace. The mining never stopped. The phosphate mining boom in the 1970s and 1980s gave Nauru a short period of extreme wealth, but since then, it's been catastrophically followed by decades of agricultural scarcity, a severe public health crisis, and a corrupt government unable to solve the nation's problems. The heavy machinery that scraped away the fertile topsoil to extract the phosphate beneath made the nation extremely rich, but it left the interior of the island a jagged, uninhabitable wasteland of limestone pillars. Over 80% of Nauru's land was completely useless for agriculture. They were quite literally trading their land for cash. With the island lacking any economic diversity, the government distributed the mining profits directly to the citizens. Suddenly, everyday people were handed life-changing sums of money. Just because the money came so fast and easily, the mindset shifted. The concept of saving or investing was gone. The population assumed the phosphate money would last forever. Luxury goods, sports cars, and foreign foods were shipped to the tiny island. Nauruans even flew to Australia just to go shopping. But as the 1990s approached, the phosphate reserves began to dry out. The government attempted to save their money and invest into global real estate, but a combination of terrible financial management, scams, and an outright corruption caused billions of dollars to vanish. Desperate to replace the disappearing phosphate revenue, Nauru turned to a new industry. They became an offshore tax haven. For a fee, anyone could set up a shell bank on their island. This attracted billions of dollars of money from international cartels and the Russian mafia. Soon, international pressure forced Nauru to shut down the banks, leaving them completely broke again. By the 2000s, Nauru was desperate for money. They found it in a controversial deal with Australia. They agreed to host Australia's offshore asylum seeker detention centers in exchange for massive amounts of foreign aid. And this is what keeps Nauru's economy afloat today. The lack of resources in agriculture on the island after the phosphate boom led to most consumer goods and foods being imported. This led to a severe public health crisis. The ultra-processed food that was shipped to the island was the only food the people had. This led to Nauru having 60 to 70% of its adult population obese, and up to 95% as overweight. Along with that, over 40% of the adult population has type 2 diabetes. All of this stems from the extremely unhealthy food they had to eat and a 50% smoking rate. Close to 20% of the island's death rate is attributed to tobacco use. The innovation and need of agricultural fertilizers completely blinded Nauru into selling all their phosphate and ruining their environment. They burned through natural resources at an unsustainable pace, and that has backfired. The money they gained from it was completely misused and lost because of corrupt officials. Today, the nation is the least visited country in the world, the highest obesity rate, the highest rate of diabetes, and smoking. The future of Nauru is uncertain. There are talks of deep-sea mining or trying to rehabilitate the hollowed-out interior of the island. But the scars of the 20th century remain deeply etched into the landscape, literally. The deep-sea mining I mentioned can be as catastrophic as the phosphate mining. It can cause huge ecological catastrophe to marine biodiversity and global fish supplies. So the question arises, will Nauru enter the same cycle they did to regain economic stability, or will they learn from their mistakes and use their resources wisely? Nauru's story is a powerful cautionary tale about geography, resource management, and the fragility of sudden wealth. It proves that having the most valuable resource on Earth means very little if you destroy the very ground you stand to get it.